climate change and the law. Yes, even climate change follows laws, especially the laws of physics. One law which is often ignored is the second law of thermodynamics. Rudolf Clausius is famous for summarizing the second law. He found that heat always flows from a high-temperature body to a low-temperature body, and the reverse never occurs in nature. In other words, it is physically impossible for a cooler object to heat a warmer object. This is true for all types of heat transfer, including conduction, convection, and radiation. Even NASA graphically demonstrates this, showing that heat only flows from the hot to the cold. It's the law. Everyone knows the very hot sun heats the Earth, but the cooler atmosphere cannot heat the warmer Earth. Regardless of whether it's water vapor or carbon dioxide or any other gas, radiation from cooler gases cannot heat a warmer surface like the Earth. This is easy to test. Consider a walk-in freezer, for example. Even though its frozen contents radiate a very small amount of heat, the cold contents cannot heat any object that is warmer. The cooler atmosphere in the freezer will not heat you up. Lucy learned that the hard way. Here's another example. You're sitting in your office with no heat sources, but this time imagine that your cooler surroundings actually begin to make you warmer. This is called free heat. But there's a problem. How do you turn off the free heat? How do you stop your rising temperature? Think about that. But don't wait too long, because the result from non-stop heating is spontaneous combustion. Now, that may be just fine for those who want to roast marshmallows, but that's what happens when you don't obey the laws of physics. Scientists have done a number of tests to confirm the validity of the second law of thermodynamics. The tests were simple. They started with a cup of hot coffee, which was warmer than a human body, and then using a series of test subjects, scientists waited to see if radiation from a relatively cooler human body could increase the temperature of a hotter cup of coffee. This first test subject was a great radiator, but it wasn't enough to increase the coffee temperature. The next subject tried intense radiation and staring, but neither were able to make the coffee hotter. This guy also tried using transcendental meditation, but he also failed to heat up the coffee. Thinking outside the box, they tried using the Vulcan mind meld, but still no luck. They even tried different containers, such as see-through glass cups, but those failed too. Even prayer was tried, and yet the coffee still cooled. The scientists then decided to be more patient with their test subjects. So they hired Patience. She was very patient. However, that extra radiation was not enough, and the coffee cooled just like all the others. So at this point, the scientists resorted to the last category of test subjects, animals. And so they called in their most cooperative test subject, George. Now, George didn't care much for coffee, but he was very patient. He stared and he stared, radiating as much heat as he could muster, and still, the coffee did not heat up. And so it is easy to see that the second law of thermodynamics is still valid, and that heat always flows from a high-temperature body to a low-temperature body, and the reverse never occurs in nature. So next time someone tells you that greenhouse gas radiation can heat up the Earth, just remind them that it is physically impossible for a cooler object to heat a warmer object. Why? Because it's the law.